You got to stop judging. All is self. You're going to create this stuff so fast, you're never going to know that you're creating it. Meaning, whatever your future is, if you keep creating and letting it suck the life out of your joy, and this happens because it's very important, like as perfect beings, okay? Not by the way the world defines it, but there's never been a mistake, okay? So as perfect beings, when we try to interpret that to the world's perfection, just like man's knowledge is foolishness to the supreme, man's knowledge is foolishness to the supreme. So when we try to actually connect that knowledge into, oh, hold on, I'm gone now. I'm just basically saying that in conclusion, because this is now 3 hours, and I did gather my thoughts here. The judgments and the division is the key. Removing the judgment and the division and seeing the connection, not letting them pull you into the race wars and the race games or the dividing of any creatures and entities. Seeing yourself behind the eyes of the male and the female animals, the males and the female humans. Because remember, the human body, as we would know animals, imagine if I blend you a cheetah and then put a human face on you, you're even more advanced. This is just one of the templates, right? Look at what Kemet is showing us. They had multiple templates they were working with. So what we're getting at here is that, but still in the game, if you lose sight of what's going on, you lose sight of where your connection is back through the portal. And here, because there's a nighttime, and that's what's the main thing that needs to be delivered in this conversation, is to remember when we refer to the children of the sun, we have to understand that there is another set of children, okay? And these children are nocturnal. Horns, hooves, and tails. It's like another side of our consciousness also. So we have to realize that it's always been for the children of the sun to rise, like basically to bring the resurrection, because imagine embodying the sun. What do? You bring sunrise all the time. So this means that you're literally bringing that to something, though. What is that something? The horns, the hooves, and the tails, the nocturnal beings.
The darkness.
Exactly. Now, notice Moses walks out with the horns. There's a lot of things that you can depict as being horned. Now, if we can metamorphosize that, because any healer is not going to look for all the problems. They're going to look for the solutions. And that's what I'm saying with this. We have to really love this. We have to really have compassion for it to connect, because then the truth will it's like the characters start rolling together and the truth starts spelling itself out. And that's what's happening. And that's why I said, that's how you can connect Hiram Abif. That's how you can connect Solomon. That's how you can connect Murugan. And most importantly, that's how you can connect yourself, because those are symbols. They're not just people. Those are constellations and star systems. And when we move beyond like the petty stuff, we get an opportunity to really enjoy what those experiences have for us, but through each other. Because each of the people that are in this group are those beings. We're all heralders, and I guess I'll end with that. We herald the times. We are that comet that comes through. Like they say in the beginning of the prayer, call the comet. Call in the space because something needs to happen. And here are the details. Because normally it's like, call in the space, something needs to happen. Any details? No details. There's transcripts not in yet. It's like, okay, I'll keep reading all this. Now 20,000 books later. Imagine 20,000 something books somewhere in there later. I still feel the strain of really trying to understand some of the first stories just because of how much confusion. But when I back off and I say, okay, let's just put these pieces here as they are with no division, that is the only time they reveal themselves. And they tell a very basic story about that we are all that we need. When we stop fighting, when we stop challenging each other, and when we come together and we use our knowledge and intelligence, which is what we're doing. This is not one of those Dr. King speeches or any of those speeches that they want to talk about it and then still can't figure out how to actionize people. First of all, and also trying to actionize one group of people as if we all haven't experienced a struggle. There's a strain every day to breathe right now for everybody. So being a dolphin right now in the ocean in the wrong spot right now is terrible right now. So that strain, we can use that power Understand fear and all of that. Those are powerful energies, right? You know, when you get in that moment and some shit shocks you, like just that coursing, especially when it hits and you know there's that after charge and you're like, man, it's going to be a pretty hard after effect from that amount of fear that I just expressed. So remember, when you can harness that, because notice when you experience some really strong fear at one moment from something, if you just breathe that in and you hold it, you'll pass out. It's so high in essence. You see what I mean? But when you start learning how to play with that fear, you realize Donald Trump's impending world disasters, pestilence, any other kind of antis you can bring become great fuel for change. Great fuel for you to also realize to bring about that change in your life. And when you do it, if you care about yourself enough, that's why we say all is self. If you care about yourself enough to figure it out, you don't even got to come and tell us. There's a grid that all knowledge and communication pass down. It already happened. It goes right down that line. And whether I'm able to deliver it or not, or whether you're able to deliver it or not, it comes to us. And that's how we're working this now. So nobody is like the gatekeeper. All the knowledge is residing with them. If they shut up, another mouth will open. Several mouths will open. We just need to know as a collective, fix one thing with yourself. Stop judging. I can tell you it over and over again. All this stuff I tell you today, the greater things will not be, you will not be able to access at all. You cannot. Mm-hmm. If somehow you get into it, you are done. There are people in the hospital right now in Jerusalem and in many places where, like the Sharifs, okay? Remember, this knowledge that we're talking about, that talk about the pyramid, we're just at the forefront. We haven't even met some of the other life forms that exist within that space. But remember, it won't be because the world didn't know about it before. Like we believe like we're the only beings that exist in the entire galaxy and the cosmos. Think about the Sharifs, okay? One more mystery and we're done. We're done. The Sharif is where the English word sheriff comes from, okay? The sheriff, he carries a star. Now, on the spiritual plane, that star is like a flaming fire to many beings. It scares them. That is how talismans are formed. Now, they are in a cabal themselves, so they have power and they make certain things because they enlist nobles, metals that you can bend and you can hold them at your sway as a craftsman, okay? So they build these stars, 6 points and 5 points, and they strike fear in dark forces. So when 5 or 6 of those stars show up, we can say police. I don't care how crunk that individual's getting. All of a sudden, he either starts running, he gets on the ground. Only the strongest demons can resist that star. Now, where did that come from? In ancient Morocco, which actually leads you all the way back down the Nile Valley. Again, you know, this is just a development of the culture. They practiced the art where the language was so powerful, it allowed you to not only keep negative ideas out of the space or negative frequencies. It's better for us to see it that way. They knew how to remove entities with certain frequencies. So all of that was in play, and they called that person the Sharif. And when anything popped off that was on the extra dimensional level that needed to be handled, this is the person you call. Now, imagine this day and age that's broke down to a person who knows nothing about spirituality showing up to your house with just a little symbol of Saturn, which is a gun, lead, right? The lead of Saturn, death, the 7, the scythe, right? Where you can bring death, you can also bring life. This is why you can never get caught up in any of these archetypes as if there's not a graduated stage and as if there's not a need. Some of us need to destroy some things that we've created with our own consciousness, and that same power will evolve into regenerating. So what I'm getting at here in conclusion is this is all what awaits. I don't feel old. I don't feel tired. I feel like I'm just beginning. I'm accepting that I'm young. And I'm young and wise, but I'm not thinking that I know everything because there is no everything. Again, the conclusion of your thoughts for those that are big time in the brain gym and just feel like they can figure out everything, I will tell you, you cannot. You can get a hold of the essence of things and ride beyond where thought goes. But if you think you're going to figure it all out, just understand your sheer existence. Some people have to think about this a lot, but it's always something I always say in all my shows because it is the most powerful thing. It is the key to endless perpetual energy.